Hello, lovely people. Thank you so much for being here. I am Amy and I will be your yoga teacher for the day. So today we're going to do an intermediate vinyasa flow with a focus on strengthening and stretching out through the hips. So due to our modern lifestyles, a lot of people spend most of their time sitting down, and this can leave us with very tight and very weak hips. And a lot of yoga classes focus on opening the hips, but it's also really important to strengthen them. So we've got that support, we've got that stability. So that is what we're going to be doing today. So today we're going to begin in a Baddha Konasana. So getting straight into the hips right from the start. As it's early on in our class, take a nice long stance. So bringing the soles of the feet together, letting the knees drop out, drawing the shoulders down away from the ears, stacking the head over the heart, over the hips. Soften the eyes and start to take deep breaths in and out through the nose, filling up the belly, the ribs, the chest, and slightly contracting the core on your exhale, getting every last drop of air out. Now, the hips are believed to be somewhere that we store our emotions. So as we move today, that might affect your emotional state. So just take a moment now to connect to your emotions. Just notice what is going on in your mind. What thoughts are there? And notice how you're feeling. What emotions are present in the mind? What emotions are present in the body? No right or wrong answers, and no need to change anything, it's just noticing. And notice how the hips are feeling, any sensations there. Maybe they're feeling tight, maybe they're feeling open already. Notice all the parts of the body that are connected to the mat. As you're ready, you can soften. As you're ready, you can softly open the eyes. Then cross the ankles, roll over onto the knees, place the hands on the mat and come into a tabletop position. So stacking the shoulders over the elbows, over the wrists, the hips over the knees in line with the ankles. And let's just take a few cat-cows here. So inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest, and exhale, round the spine. Inhale, pull that heart through, gaze straight ahead, and exhale, draw the hips and the chin towards one another. Inhale, lift, keeping the core engaged, and exhale, round, creating that nice arch through the spine. One more time. Inhale, lift, shine those collarbones forward, and exhale, articulating through the spine. Now start to take some movements through the hips. So find some intuitive movement here, maybe taking big circles, going forward and backward, making sure to go in both directions. Maybe taking figure 8 movements through the hips, just wiggling around from side to side. The movements can be as small or as big as you wish. You might feel a bit silly, but it's absolutely fine. You might hear some sounds, some clicking as the hips start to open up. Keep sending that breath into the hip space. Now come back to your tabletop position. Lift that right knee off the mat and start to take some big circles with that right knee. Imagine like you've got a paintbrush stuck onto your knee and you want to draw some really big circles. Now switch direction. Notice whether you're dumping all of your weight into one hand. Try and keep it evenly distributed through both hands. And now finish off your circles. Point the right toes up to the sky. So the right knee is bent, toes are pointing up towards the sky, and we're going to pulse here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now straighten that leg and 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now you're going to take that right leg out to the right hand side and then back out behind you. Out to the right, back out behind you. Out to the right and hold. Try and lift that leg as high as you can, really feeling into the glutes. 3, 2, 1, and then drop that right foot down to the floor. The heel is centered behind the toes and the heel is in line with the hip. Then tuck those back toes under and start to sink the hips back towards the heel. You can walk the hands forward, finding a stretch in the shoulders. You can untuck those back toes and sink even further down, really opening up through that right inner thigh. Now come back up to your tabletop position. I'm just going to turn around because I need the space. You can do the same if you need to. And we'll go onto the left hand side. So starting to take those big circles through the left knee, going in one direction, rooting down evenly through both hands. And then switch directions. Then as you're ready, point those toes up towards the sky, bending through the knee, and we'll take those 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and straighten. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take the leg out to the side and back behind you. Out to the side and back behind you. Out to the side, straight out behind, out to the side and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and drop that foot down. Sink the hip back towards the right heel, feeling that stretch through the inner thigh. Maybe walking those hands forward to find some opening through the chest and the shoulders. Just send that breath into those sensations. Now roll your way back up into a tabletop position. Tuck the toes under, lift the hips towards the sky, coming into your downward facing dog. Root down through all 10 fingers, spreading them apart. Spin those biceps away from the ears. Point the tailbone up towards the sky and start to take some movement here. So maybe pedaling out through the legs, maybe swaying the hips from one side to another, maybe bending through the knees and taking some circles with the hips. Getting a nice opening down through the back of the legs. Now on your next inhale, bend through the knees, look towards the hands, and as you exhale, hop and land with the feet at the outside edges of the hands, coming into our Malasana, our yogi squat. Once again, just take some time here to wiggle around through the hips, feeling that opening, pressing the elbows and the knees towards one another, and lifting up through the spine. So chest is shining proudly forward, shoulders are away from the ears. Now keeping the elbows and the knees glued towards one another, fingers can interlace at the chest. You're going to lift the hips so that the torso comes parallel to the floor, and then lower. 2, lower. 3, lower. 4, lower. 5, lower. 6, lower. Keep that connection to the breath. Lower. 8, lower. Keep that nice long spine. 10, go for 5 more. 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Ooh, release, come back down to your malasana, have another wiggle around through the hips. That one should really have your hips feeling alive, maybe they're burning, but we know that it's doing them some good. We know it's helping us build nice, strong hips and glutes. Now place both hands on the mat and step one foot at a time, coming back to your plank position. Our first plank, let's take some rocks. So rocking back and forward, using the toes to propel us back and forth, starting to warm up through the wrists, starting to activate through the core, keeping the gaze straight down at the top of the mat. We'll go for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 3, 2, 1. Now hold your plank and lift that right foot off the mat, about 2 feet off the mat, coming to hover. Hold it here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Place it back down. Lift that left leg. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Place it back down. Back to the right for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back down and lift the left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Place that left foot back down and rock it back to your downward facing dog. Breathe here. Deep breaths in and out through the nose. Now inhale, sweep that right leg high, open the hip, bend that top leg, and once again start to take those nice big circles going in one direction and switch direction. Now inhale, straighten that leg. Exhale, draw the knee in towards the nose, round through the spine, and then step that right foot through between the hands. Spin the back heel onto the floor, look down, make sure that your front heel is bisecting your back arch, and then rise up into your warrior two, sinking down into that front knee. So sink deeper than you want to, really engaging through that right quad. And the left leg is still nice and active, so pressing down through the outer edge of the left foot, finding some energy through the fingertips, lifting through the chest. Inhale, straighten that leg, bring the palms together overhead, and exhale, sink back down. Inhale, press the palms together. Exhale, sink into your warrior two. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, can you go even deeper? Now inhale, reverse warrior, and then exhale, launching into your half moon pose. See if you can keep that right hand hovering off the mat, finding some length through both sides of the torso, really flexing that back foot, sending energy through the fingertips. Now, either with that bottom hand lifted, or you can take it onto the floor. You can bend that top leg and then reach around for the outside edge of the foot, coming into our sugarcane pose, pressing the left foot and the left hand towards one another. Take one more deep breath in here, then release the leg and step really far out, landing in your squat position or goddess pose. So make sure that the knees are stacking above the ankles and notice whether the knees are collapsing in. So try and draw those knees out towards the pinky toes. Palms are pressing together at the heart. Let's go for 10 pulses. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold. Pulse the knees out. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold. Deep breaths in and out through the nose. Really feeling that burn in the legs. Maybe we're shaking and it's all good. And straighten those legs. Wiggle around through the hips. Then spin the heels out, toes in. Grow tall. And then exhale, fold down into your Prasarita Padottanasana. Maybe wiggling around through the hips here, swaying from side to side. Inhale, halfway lift, come up to a flat back. Now turn those right toes out and lunge onto the right leg, coming into our side lunge. Hands can be at prayer or they can be down on the mat if you need support. Really opening into the left inner thigh, into the right hip. Inhale here. Then exhale, side lunge to the left. Back to the right and over to the left. Back to the right, over to the left. Now this time you're going to launch up into your warrior two on the right leg. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, cartwheel those hands down, frame the foot, step it back to plank and take it straight back to your downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in here, reset before we move on to the other side. Now inhale, sweep that left leg high, open the hip, bend the knee and start to make those circles with the left leg. And switch direction of your circles. Now inhale, extend that leg high. Exhale, draw the knee in towards the nose. Imagine there's a magnet drawing them together. Then step that foot through between the hands, spin that back heel down and rise up into your warrior two. Sinking lower than you want to, down into that front leg, trying to bring the left thigh parallel to the ground. Rooting down through that back foot. Inhale, straighten the leg, bring the palms to touch. Exhale, sink deeper. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, take it deeper. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, reverse warrior, stretch it back. And then exhale, launching forwards into your half moon, using the hand to support you if you need to. Feeling into all of those wobbles. And then straighten. And then bend that top leg. Reach around for the outside of the foot. And open up into your sugar cane. One more breath here. Then let go of that foot. Re-extend into your half moon. And then land. Big step out into your squat position. Now lift the right heel off the mat and 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift the left. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift both. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Place the heels down. Take the hands to the hips and start to take some circles with the hips. Imagine like you're stirring a big pot with your hips. Once again, you might feel silly, but it's all good. There's no one watching you. There's just all of you watching me. Just feeling into the hips. Now take the hands to the knees and dip that right shoulder in. Come back through centre, dip that left shoulder in. Come back to your squat position and then straighten the legs. Have a little wiggle. Turn those heels out, the toes in. Inhale, get long, and then exhale, fold down. Inhale, flat back, and then exhale, turn the left toes out, side lunge onto the left leg, palms pressed together at prayer. Feeling that opening in the right inner thigh, rooting down through the left foot, keeping the shoulders away from the ears, and now travel to the back of the mat. Back to the front, and over to the back. Back to the front, over to the back, and then this time launch up into your warrior 2 at the front of the mat. Inhale, reverse, and then exhale, frame that foot, step it back to plank, and then straight back to your downward facing dog. Maybe sigh the breath out through the mouth, and let's just take a moment. Drop down to the knees, come into your child's pose, bringing the toes to touch and the knees as wide as the mat, sinking the belly and the chest down towards the floor. Now place those palms back down on the mat if they're not already. Tuck under the toes, lift the hips high, coming back into our downward facing dog. Now inhale, sweep that right leg high. Exhale, step it through between the hands, back toes. Back heel stays off the mat this time. Inhale, rise up into your high lunge, really engaging through the glutes here. Inhale here, then bring the palms to the chest and step it forwards into your warrior 3. Inhale here, then keeping the hands off the mat if you can. You're going to exhale, dip that left knee behind the right into your Jiva squat. Inhale, extend. Exhale, squat for 4. Inhale, extend. Squat for 3. Extend for 2. Extend, and for 1. Now extend that leg all the way up to the sky, coming into your standing splits, keeping the palms at prayer if you can, or taking them down if you need to. Now inhale, sweep that left leg up into standing staff. Can you keep that leg straight? Can you keep it lifted without dragging it? Hold it here out in front, flexing those toes back towards the face, keeping a nice long spine. Keeping that leg lifted, extend it out to the left. Back in front, back to the left. Keep it nice and lifted as high as you can. Out in front, woo! Back to the left for the last time. Out in front, and then spin your way back into your standing splits. Take the hands down to the mat this time, and then step that left foot all the way to the back of the mat. Plant the palms, step it back to your plank, and this time work your way through a chaturanga. Inhaling to upward facing dog, Exhaling to downward facing dog. Straight to the other side. Inhale, sweep that left leg high. Exhale, knee in towards the nose. Step it through between the hands and rise up into your crescent lunge. Arms up overhead. Really engaging through the glutes here. Then bring the hands to the chest. Then bring the hands to the chest. Launch forwards into your warrior three. If you've got the space, you can extend your arms out overhead for a little extra challenge. Inhale here, and then exhale, dip it into your Jiva squat. Extend, squat for 4. Extend, and 3. Extend, and 2. One more time, and squat. Release, and swing that leg through, keeping it straight, coming into your standing staff, extending the arms up overhead. I'm just turning sideways so I have the space, so extend that leg out to the right, straight out in front, out to the right, straight out in front, out to the right. One more time, out ahead, out to the right, back out in front, and then come down into your standing splits, keeping those hands at the chest, holding here, and then release those hands to the mat. Step that foot back, coming into your plank, working down, and then lifting up, and sending it back to downward facing dog. Deep breaths here. Once again, drop the knees, coming down into a child's pose. Now root down through the hands, lift yourself up and step the feet back into a plank position. Lift that right leg off the mat to hover, then draw the right knee up towards the right armpit or the right elbow, but we're aiming for the armpit. Hold it here, and then step it to the outside of the right foot, drop that back knee down, coming onto the knife edge of the right foot, and maybe dropping down onto the forearms, coming into our lizard pose. Once again, find some movement here, maybe wiggling around through the hips. You can keep that back knee lifted off the mat if you want a little extra challenge, or you can keep it lowered if you're wanting a bit more of a stretch. Now, if they're not already on the mat, bring the forearms down to the mat. Arms are parallel to one another. And if it's not already, lift that back knee, and without dragging it, can you step that right foot back to meet the left, coming into a forearm plank. And then start to lift the hips, walk the feet in, coming into dolphin pose. Now, can you press your way up to a downward dog, lifting both elbows off at once? Lengthen that downward facing dog if you need to, and then rock back forwards into your plank. Lift that left leg off, draw the left knee up towards the left armpit, plant it to the outside of the left hand, drop that back knee if you wish, and maybe come down onto the forearms. Just taking a moment to wiggle around into our lizard. Now, if they're not already, plant those forearms on the mat, bringing them parallel to each other, lifting that back knee, and without dragging, stepping that left foot to meet the right, coming into our forearm plank, and then lifting the hips up for dolphin, walking those feet in, and then pressing up both arms at a time into our downward facing dog. Now rock your way back forward to plank, and this time lower all the way down onto the belly. Inhale, lift into cobra pose. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Using the strength of the back and the glutes rather than pressing into the hands. Now this time lift. Take the hands off the mat to hover. Extend them straight out behind. Palms of the hands are facing down. Now you can stay here, or you can use the strength of your glutes to lift the legs off the mat. 3 deep breaths here. Maybe getting higher and higher with each inhale and each exhale. Notice whether the legs are splaying apart. Try and draw them towards one another. And release. Stack one hand on top of the other and rest the forehead on the hands. Maybe you can hear the heartbeat. Maybe you can feel the belly rising towards the mat and then maybe lifting away. Now a very elegant transition, you're simply going to roll your way over onto your back. You can shift yourself around so that you're nice and centered on your mat. Then plant the feet on the floor, knees are pointing up towards the sky, rooting down through the arms and the shoulders. Inhale, lift the hips off the mat. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift, squeeze those glutes. Exhale, lower. Breathe in, lift the hips, fire up the inner thighs. Breathe out, release. One more time, breathe up and lift. And hold here, lift that right foot off the mat and lower. Lift and lower. Lift, lower, lift, lower, lift. Place that right foot down, lift the left foot off, and 5 times. Lifting and lowering at your own pace. Lift, place that left foot down and take some mini pulses for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One final hold, really squeeze those glutes. And release. Hug those knees into the chest. Give yourself a big squeeze. Fill up the belly with air. And then sigh it all out. Take the hands onto the knees and start to take the knees in big circles in opposite directions away from one another. And then switch direction of those circles. Come back through centre, then cross that right ankle over the left knee. Thread the arms around the thigh or the shin. Keep the hips and the shoulders glued down onto the mat as you draw that left knee in towards you, as you push that right knee away with the right elbow. Keep that right foot really nice and active. And release, switch sides, crossing that left ankle over the right knee, threading the hands through, pulling that right knee in towards you. Notice whether there's any tension in the face and jaw or in the shoulders and the neck, and just try and soften. Now release, and let's take a happy baby. One final opening into the hips, so you can grab the inside or the outside of the feet, whichever feels best for you. Keeping the hips and shoulders glued down onto the mat, you're going to draw the knees and the thighs down towards the mat. You can maybe straighten one leg at a time, finding some opening through the inner thighs. You might rock from side to side, or you might just find some stillness. Now release, give yourself another big squeeze, and let's just take a twist. So dropping those knees over to the right, guiding them over with the right hand, rooting that left shoulder down into the mat. You can take any twist variation you want, so maybe extending the bottom leg, maybe extending both legs, taking eagle legs. It is up to you. Now come back through centre and drop those knees over to the other side. Rooting those shoulders down into the mat, feeling the opening across the chest. Sending deep breaths into the belly. Release, hug those knees in, one final squeeze, maybe drawing the forehead towards the knees, maybe giving yourself a little kiss. And I'm going to invite you to take your Shavasana in a Supta Baddha Konasana position, so drawing the soles of the feet together, letting the knees splay apart. They can be as close. Your feet can be as close or as far away from the groin as you wish. Soften through the face, soften through the shoulders. You can maybe bring one hand to the belly and one hand to the heart, or just let those arms flop out by your sides. Now once again, just take a moment here to notice the thoughts that are going on in your mind. Notice the feelings and the emotions that are both in your mind and in your body. And notice the physical sensations, maybe focusing on the hips, noticing if they feel different from how they did in our very first Baddha Konasana. Once again, there's no right or wrong answer, just noticing without judgment. Once you've made all those observations, just let them go and just come into the present moment. Letting the breath be slow and soft. As you're ready, start to draw the knees in towards one another, maybe using the hands to support you, and then start to take whatever movement your body is asking for. So maybe it's a big stretch, or maybe it's just some small movements for you today. And the movements your body wants today might be different tomorrow. They might be different at a different time of day. So just listen to your body. And then slowly rolling over onto one side before pressing your way up to a seated position. Bring the hands to press together at prayer. And just take a moment to feel grateful to yourself for sticking with this practice, for making it all the way to the end, for taking the time to strengthen your body, to stretch your body, to connect to your breath, and to find some stillness. You can blink the eyes open whenever you're ready. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I really hope you enjoyed this practice and that your hips are feeling strong and feeling nice and open at the same time. If you love this class, please don't forget to leave it a like and a comment. It really does make a difference, and subscribe if you are not already. Hopefully I will see you again soon.